Hi, Doctor. We are from Group 3, and our topic will be on Musyarakah Home Financing under Harish P. Islamic Bank. So, myself, Sumukanya Saronan, matrix number EX03716.
Hello, doctor. My name is Nishal Bai, daughter of Munusamiwil. My matrix number is EX03720.
Hello, doctor. My name is Siva Madini and my matric number EX03726.
Good evening, Doctor. I'm Reshmi Sandra. My metric number is EX03715.
Okay, Doctor. Now we are starting with the introduction of Musyarakah. So, Musyarakah is actually a joint enterprise or partnership structure in Islamic finance in which partners share in the profit and losses of an enterprise. Since Islamic law Sharia does not permit profiting from interest in lending, Musyarakah allows for the financier or a project or a company to achieve a return in the form of a portion of the actual profits according to the predetermined ratio. However, unlike a traditional creditor, the financier also will share in any losses should they occur, also on a pro-rate basis. Musyarakah is a type of shirka hal anwal, a partnership, which in Arabic means sharing. Musyarakah plays a vital role in financing business operations based on Islamic principle. For example, suppose if that individual A wants to start a business but has limited funds, the individual B who has exits the fund and wishes to be the financier in Musyarakah with A, I mean the individual A. The two people will come to an agreement to the terms and begin a business in which both share a portion of the profits and losses. Next, Musyarakah is frequently used in the purchase of property and real estate, in providing credit for investment projects, and to finance large purchases. In real estate deals, the partners request from a bank an assessment of the property's value via imputed rent. It means like the sum of a partner might pay to live in the property. Profits are divided between partners in predetermined ratios based on the value that was assigned and the sum of their different stocks. Every party that puts up capital is entitled to say in the property's management. When Musyarakah is employed to finance large purchases, banks tends to lend by using floating rate interest loans pegged to a company's rate of return. Within Musyarakah, there are differing partnership arrangement. In a Shirka Hal Inan partnership, the partners are simply the agent and do not serve as guarantors or other partners. Shirka Hal Mufada is an equal, unlimited, and unrestricted partnership in which all partners put in the same sum, share the same profit, and all have same rights. Permanent Musyarakah has no specific end date and continues until the partners decide to dissolve it. As such, it is often used for long-term financing needs. A diminishing Musyarakah can have a few different structures. The first is the consecutive partnership, in which the share of each partner stay the same until the joint venture comes to an end. It is often used in project finance, and especially home buying. That's all from me for now.
Next, we look at analysis of Islamic principles applied in the product. We can safely assume that the Islamic Sharia permits contract like Musyarakah Mustanis to ensure that this contract stays within the bounds of Sharia and does not merge with the interest-based contract. Scholar offer a number of rules and criteria that must be compulsory followed. The principles are as followed. The goods must be presented, so the property which is not present or on a loan is not allowed for having a transaction. The proportion of the profit must be specific, and the profit will be in a proportion, not by amount of money. Both the financier and the client must share the profit and loss of the property. The Sharia advisory board must have the rights to monitor the contract. The contract of the partnership and the contract of sales should be done separately and not collectively. A binding promise can be taken from one partner to purchase the share of the other partner gradually. Besides, structure or modus operandi applied in the product. Generally, there are few steps in implementing the operational procedure of Musyarakah. One of the examples adhere to these operational steps, and its structure is RHB Bank, which is be explained briefly. So first and foremost, a customer who is in need to purchase a house approached the RHB Islamic Bank and applied for a financial through the Musyarakah. So as per customers' financing requirement, bank access the customer's credit worthiness and approve the request. Both the bank and the customer buy the property in the appropriate portions and pay the purchase price in accordance with the authorized. Besides, in the RHB Islamic banking practice, the customer shares is known as a down payment. The bank seek an undertaking from a customer to purchase gradually the entire bank's share in the property during the finance period. In the event that the customer default or breach, the bank may use this commitment to require a customer to purchase the bank's then share of the property shares on a regular interval throughout the finance period. Each time when the customer purchase the bank's share, the separate sales and purchase agreement is signed by and between the parties. The customer leases the bank's portion in the property against the payment of a specific rent for a specific period and enter into the lease contract with the bank. According to the provisions of the lease agreement, the customer pay the banks the rental sum on the due dates that fall on the same date that the bank typically sell the particular share to the customer. The rental amount for each rental period is adjusted due to the decrease in the bank's share in the leased property. Through the separate agency agreement, the customer is appointed as a bank's agent to carry out the major maintenance and obtain the Islamic property and insure for a portion of the bank shares in the property. The bank pay all the costs and expenses incurred to the customers under above said agency agreement. Additionally, bank pay the customer an agency fee is that in exchange for his service. The bank may use the mortgage on the entire property or look for other collateral to protect its funding. Lastly, the customer may request an undertaking from the bank to sell its complete portion to the customer at any stage during the financial period in order to secure his rights to settle the finance early. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay. So in the implementation of Musyarakah, it will not run away with the pros and cons. So firstly, the pros, like Musyarakah is more effective or affordable mode of finance for both asset acquisitions in general and home financing in particular. Next, this home financing product is relatively more flexible mode of finance. This is because the time it takes to finance a project can also be shortened, which benefits both bank and the client. The former will receive the monies invested which may then be used to support future ventures. The latter will be able to obtain the required item in a quicker time frame. Then other than that, it is following Qazid Sharia. This is due to Musyarakah encourages maslahah or people's welfare by making it easier for them, which are the clients, to finance their asset purchases. It alleviates people's suffering while also serving the public good which is desired. Next, the cons of the Musyarakah will be: the Musyarakah is less appealing to banks because this product would result in less profitability for Islamic banks. Moreover, in the case of home financing, the banks may find it difficult to maintain the pace of rental charges. This is because the rental prices will fluctuate over time and are determined by the location of the property. Simultaneously, as the rental rate rises, the bank may find it difficult to persuade the customer that he or she must now pay or a greater and higher rental on the property purchased. In addition, legal changes in Musyarakah products may be required, particularly in the area of taxation. This implies that the law should be in place to ensure that a client is not taxed twice for the same commodity. That's all from me.
There are four legal issues of Musyarakah in home financing. The first legal issue to be discussed in the is ownership of the property. The issue is here whether the bank or the customer should be legal ownership of the property during this partnership relationship. In Malaysia, we apply torrent system, which carries the meaning of system by registration. Basically, the person has to be registered under the property in order to own and as the interest on such property. The second issue is property maintenance. It is agreed that the client or who is the owner should be responsible for any minor maintenance. The customer will need to bear cost of major repairs or maintenance. The issue of risk sharing between bank and customer, there is a question arise whether who will be the responsible in the contract if there is a damage of property. If damage results from the client's carelessness, the bank will not be accountable for the cost. Instead, the client is responsible for paying them. Both parties will continue share the burden equally as specified in their contract, even if the losses or damages result from an act of the God. The third issue is related to documents and charges imposed. In order to apply the Musyarakah in home financing, there are documents need to be signed and contract to be agreed between the parties. There are also fees and charges need to be imposed, for example, legal fees. The increased number of the documents will cause higher risk to the banks and also increase the documentation cost. Another issue arises from this is that the customer must bear the cost which include the legal fees, preparation, and the registration of documents and other fees. It is found that the bank will not charge any documentation costs on the customers and did not pay any cost to the panel lawyers to the bank. But customer need to bear such costly or directly pay to the lawyers. Lastly, issue in Musyarakah in home financing is the Malay reserve land. This means that the property can only be owned and therefore registered in the name of Malay. This is provided under the Malay reserve annexments of each and individual states in Malaysia. Therefore, a problem will arise particularly because the Musyarakah venture itself is the beneficial owner of the property is registered solely in the name of Malay customer. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Okay, there are several recommendations. The first recommendation would be legal ownership of Musyarakah Mutana Kisha must develop to complement with Islamic home financing, because in Musyarakah partnership, the ownership can be transferred to other partner in the contract. Besides that, the legal transfer of the Musyarakah property allows for customer if they own majority shares. The second recommendation would be the damages should not delegate all the repair. Should not delegate all the repairs on the customers alone, because this shows it's unfair. And even in a conventional bank, they provide a housing loan, but if there is any maintenance, they also bond all the maintenance under the customer itself. So by implementing this, it creates a partnership which customer can safely and unworried as it relay with a Sharia principle. And the third recommendation is this Musyarakah should be widely implemented in all Islamic banks. As we know, only 9 banks are currently implementing this home finance product, which is OCBC Al Amin, Afin is Islamic Bank, and also RHB Islamic Bank. So by implementing by implementing this Musyarakah in all banks, it helps Musyarakah to grow widely. The fourth recommendation would be modify the contract term. Less ties contract term would give bank undue advantage as partners to wakes the contract. Sharia concept will no longer apply if a contract create hardships to any of the persons in the partnership. Last but not least, should not be subjected to Malay reserve land laws, because it can cause deterrence to non-Malay customer to acquire home financing loans. So next slide. Okay. So as a conclusion, property or housing is a necessity for all persons. However, currently housing rates are actually increasing yearly. So by having this Mustad partnership, it is essentially established to finance home purchasing, and Musyarakah Mutanikuma to partially own a property before fully acquiring the bulk of property shares from the bank. It also can assist in overcoming the installation of interest rate. More Islamic banks should implement Musyarakah because it is fully compliant with Sharia. So that's all from our group. Thank you.